How's it going, everybody? Andrew with BransonCerakote and Applicator Hangout. So today we got some special guests. We got Matt Damon and forget the other name that we were going with here.
Ben Affleck.
Ben Affleck. So we're not really going to say who these guys are, just kind of to help them out. We want to kind of ask them about some of their situations and like what's going on with them. They live in a very communist state, we'll say, and they have a lot of very strange gun laws. And as we've been doing training, and the more that they've told us about it, I was like, hey, you guys should just come on and talk to us about it. I was like, this would be a pretty cool conversation. So, live somewhere in
Northeast.
yeah, in the Northeast. So you were telling me like can't even own like if I was to go out and wanted to get a brand new Glock right now, cannot do that where you're at.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you, we're up in Massachusetts. It's going to be easy to figure out. Um, so we do a lot of different things in the firearms business. As far as we have a Cerakote shop, we have individual shops. We do gunsmithing.
Yeah,
too.
even in your individual shops, just real quick, I heard you saying like the way y'all are set up, there's actually multiple shops within a shop, sort of like multiple FFLs within that
So-
building. Is that a
So
city ordinance?
There are, in the state of Massachusetts, there's a lot of zoning requirements. So there's a lot of shops that are clustered within certain industrial areas. That's about all I'll say on that. But the state is very restrictive back years and years as far as firearms go. We have what's called an approved firearms roster for handguns. As of 1998, if it wasn't in the state of Massachusetts, it has to be on the roster to be sold to a civilian or a police officer. So we're, as dealers, subject to that list. We have to abide by that list or be subject to a fine for each occurrence if we sold an individual a gun that wasn't on the roster.
Right.
The roster comes out usually twice a year. Manufacturers have to submit the guns for approval. They have to submit guns for testing, destruction, along with the ammunition. It makes it cost prohibitive for a lot of manufacturers to participate and to be, especially for such a small market.
Right.
Such a tough market to do
Yeah.
for gun dealers.
Well, like what's crazy, like I thought, is like I know you don't remember. You said you didn't remember which version of the Shadow system.
Yeah.
You said there was one that you could carry, and it's essentially a Glock, but Glock's just saying we're not going to pay this price to manufacture
So-
one gun just for.
Well, so here's
particular.
what Glock is very unique. Glock has an own memorandum in the state of Massachusetts that back a few attorney generals, they deemed Glock as not safe for the public. It didn't meet all the consumer safety standards.
Okay.
So years later, jump to present, most of the manufacturers have copied all of the actions of Glock.
Yeah.
Shadow systems, most of the other
The
manufacturers
PSA
use,
daggers. I mean, there's a ton of them that just.
they use they're actually, I think trying to copy something better.
Yeah.
Yet that superior product carried by 70% of the military is inferior.
Yeah.
But if you can get one from someone who moved into the state, from a police officer that decided to sell his, it's 100% carry. So it kind of is a weird type of thing. They
Right.
can be personally transferred between licensed individuals.
So you have to have a card there to.
We do. We
Are
have
you
to have
limited to how many firearms you can have in that state?
No.
I know there's some states like that. I didn't know if y'all were one of them.
We're limited to in personal sales, we're limited to selling for.
Okay.
If you go through a dealer, but because of our roster, you have to make sure that what you're selling, if you're going to sell it to a dealer, is on the roster. As a dealer, you have to be able to resell
Right.
it. So there's so many laws and regulations, and a lot of them are up for interpretation. A lot of them are pending court cases. So as a consumer, it's almost impossible to
I gotcha.
And if you're dealing dealing with a dealer that may not have all the education, that doesn't invest highly in trying to know all the laws, you may not get all the actual accurate information.
Yeah.
Um, we're subject to, we have to take a firearms education class prior to applying for a license in our state, which I'm very supportive. I started out as an instructor,
Okay.
and so did Matt Damon. Um, instruction is great because we have so many regulations, and just make sure that the individual has a basic skimming of what they need.
Yeah. It's keeping yourself safe. That's what it's
Yeah,
really doing.
I mean, it's still
From the law, I guess, in a
it's
sense.
from the
Yes, it's
law.
keeping you safe from that law if you understand what you're doing.
As a homeowner, as a father, as a husband, I always encourage new gun owners to seek additional training.
Yeah.
I associate with a lot of different trainers that offer different training for different individuals, different types of training, because trying to trying to keep everything safe.
Yeah.
In our industry, we spend more time talking about safety than anything else.
Yeah.
You won't find it even in construction or trucking. They don't spend that much time talking about safety.
Yeah.
Yet they're sometimes using equipment that's 20, 30 times more unsafe. In our state, they feel that guns are inherently unsafe, which is the opposite of how the NRA and gun organizations thinking.
Yeah. So, do y'all have, um, I guess you guys have to have just a concealed carry permit. Like you can't legally open carry or anything like that there
We're not
or
a
nothing.
Constitution carry state.
Yeah.
Um, I don't believe I have
Yeah.
you have to be licensed. We have a 10-round mag capacity in Massachusetts. So you can't carry any more than 10 unless the magazine was made prior to the 1994.
Well, how do you actually know?
So if they have to be dated, or there has to be some type of manufacturer's marks, or with some of the magazines, because the ban in '94 pushed a lot of companies out of business, that's a way of knowing. This company, they went out of business because of the ban.
Gotcha.
So, but it is difficult, especially on the consumer end, because the consumer, the people that care about the laws and being on the right side are the regular, everyday working.
Yeah.
Um, People, the criminals, the gangbangers, drug dealers, they don't care about, they can keep adding regulations on because they're not getting guns that way.
Yeah.
They're getting guns through theft, through robberies, violent crime.
Yeah. Bringing them in from other states, whatever.
They do.
Yeah.
And, that's the thing, is that we're just trying to protect ourselves from those elements.
Yeah.
And it is difficult. We fought through COVID. COVID was rough for everybody, but we were the only state that deemed non-essential
Right.
as a gun store.
Really? Oh, y'all wasn't?
We were non-essential. We actually won that in court towards the end of COVID.
Yeah.
The judge, he came through and said that the Constitution doesn't just get thrown away because there's a health emergency.
That's awesome.
So we don't get very many wins like that, but
Yeah.
we should have never got that.
Right.
Our state is very open at telling people that regardless of what the Supreme Court says, they don't believe that's the end. That's how they interpret it, so they're not going to. They currently have legislation that they're trying to push through that directly has already been in the courts because New York tried it. They want to restrict access to where you can go. They want to make it so that you have to have a permission to go into anyone's property, public, private, regardless.
Yeah. Like I was saying something about like having a truck gun, and you said you all can't even have truck guns.
Everything has to be secured. If it's not under your direct control, in a holster or something like that, it has to be locked.
Right. So they consider like if you lock it in your glove box, is that considered?
This case law that doesn't allow that.
Really?
It has to be in a lockbox.
Dang.
Wow.
So if you got stopped and it was on your front seat, anywhere's not under your direct control, charged with a crime.
Wow.
I've had an individual that was actively being robbed by someone that had mental. The guy broke his front window, and when the police arrived, he put the gun in a safe location so that they understood who was who,
Correct.
and went as far as a police officer saying, "We could charge you with that unsecured firearm." Sir, I was just,
Yeah.
I almost had to use it on this individual. I
Yeah.
just didn't want to misinterpret. So the laws are just kind of crazy.
That's
Um,
insane.
Our police departments work so hard to try to be on the right side as well.
Yeah.
Um, they're also in a situation where they're told that if you don't enforce that, you'll be accountable.
Yeah.
You'll lose your job. And we're all just doing the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Everybody's just trying to. Everybody's got a family to feed at the end of the day.
For sure.
Exactly.
You know.
For sure.
So,
Yeah, I forgot to tell everybody. Urban's with us. He hasn't been on a podcast yet, so this is our
Oh, this is your
first.
first
My
time?
first time.
But he has his own podcast that he does. He does. He did it. How long you been doing your podcast?
I've been doing it for probably 3 years already.
wow.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
he's used to it.
Yeah. It's a natural thing.
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, I can't really talk to bikini waxing, so I probably wouldn't.
So, as we're talking about these laws, what about ammunition? Is there a law?
So you have to have a license to buy ammunition.
Okay.
Technically, like I said, the law has a lot of different parts of the law apply. There'll be 3 laws that apply to the same thing, so it becomes very gray and muddy.
Right.
Really, you can't even possess the heads to load ammunition
Wow.
without a license in that state.
I know some states you have to prove that you own that gun to be able to buy the type of ammunition. Like you can just go in and just say, "I want some 9mm ammo." They're gonna say, "Well, I need to see the gun that you're using, so that way you can't be buying it for somebody else."
So we don't have anything like that. The only time that would be a determining factor for me would be because of our licensing system. We have between 18 and 21 individuals will have FID.
Okay.
Most of the time, if you're not you're not between 18 and 21, you'll have an LTC. So if someone has an FID, they have to buy ammunition that would be capacity fire.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be able to sell them 9mm. Even though they're buying something, they have a 9mm carbine that's.
Yeah.
But yeah, our state isn't. As far as that, you have to be licensed. That's a big deal. You can't be in possession of ammunition without a license.
Really.
You can't be in possession of high capacity magazines. If you travel from another state, you get caught with a firearm, you don't have a license to carry. Large capacity magazines, you'll be charged.
Yeah. So like even if we were just like traveling through and
Went to a hotel.
yeah.
Wow.
There's a disturbance. Charged with high capacity magazines, which are felonies.
That was gonna be my next question, like what the charges were.
You know,
That's crazy.
They carry a lot of heavy penalties.
Yeah.
In Massachusetts, DUIs carry felony charges now too. So, or imprisonment for over a year. So if you get a DUI in Massachusetts, you automatically have to surrender your guns.
Wow.
You'll be a prohibited person.
Yeah.
So, and I tell people how serious this is. Especially people come from out of state. Listen, this is not something to mess around with because you'll be a prohibited for life person.
Yeah.
And that's in any state. You can't just move. You can't move away from it.
Right. It follows you everywhere you go.
So it's tough to know what the laws are. In my situation, my store, I'm very, very black and white. If there's any risk, I don't take it.
Yeah.
Because I do it full time.
Exactly.
Our Cerakote shop, we don't deal directly with customers. It goes through our gun shops.
Yeah.
Just because we don't want to have to muddy the waters with that. Background checks and that gets handled by the shop.
Yeah.
But regulatory stuff is extensive. for anybody that thinks you can walk into a gun store and buy a gun and not.
Oh yeah, no, I
Wow.
mean, we even do our background checks every time. I mean, you've got to do a background check.
Yeah.
But we definitely have a lot more freedom, like as far as like with our guns than
What
a lot of other states.
What about accessories?
Accessories you can buy, holsters, stuff like that you can buy online. Magazines, just depends.
Yeah.
It's kind of a gray area. To me, it's a gun part. It's listed in one of our national laws. So, again, black and white. No point in me taking a chance on a $20 mag.
Mm-hmm.
There are people that ship, and there's also companies that will not ship to us.
Yeah.
I have nothing against any of the companies. I'm not going to name them, but there are large companies that don't do business with Massachusetts just because they've threatened.
Well, I mean, they're the same way as like you were saying. What's their, they're tending to one little part. Why would they risk losing their entire business for just this one little area?
And the web is the place. It's the place where people are going to shop and they're going to look at reviews. They're going to do everything they want to do there. And as a business owner, you have to look at, can I manage selling online these parts to all 50 states?
Yeah.
And if you can't, then you don't do business because you take so much risk out of such a small revenue stream.
Yeah.
So,
One thing I thought was crazy, I heard you guys say you cannot own an AR-15, but you can own a SCAR
you can own an AR-15
if it's a pre-ban.
if it's a pre-ban.
Yeah.
You can buy Glocks that are pre-98.
Yeah.
So,
are the prices on those significantly higher
Yeah.
to buy a pre-ban? Like, what would a price for a pre-ban Glock go for?
are you sitting down?
Yeah.
So they're going anywhere from 2,500 up.
Dang.
So if you're in the AK platform, you're looking for a Mac 90 beater, cheap, entry level,
Yeah.
1,800.
Wow.
So which either of these would be $600-700
Yeah.
comparable in other states, and it really comes down to that date. They set these dates; they're arbitrary dates.
Yeah.
So the Glock has a cutoff date of this date in 1998. So one that was made the next day, not pre-banned, so it's not good. It's just kind of silly.
Yeah.
How they do things. The magazine thing. It really causes undue market, elevated market for Massachusetts.
Yeah.
We're already regulated enough, and it causes people that want to have something different to pay astronomical amount of money for very little value.
Right. That's
Wow,
crazy.
that is insane. Do you feel like these organizations are really in for the restriction, or do you just feel like it's all profits?
What do you mean?
Do you feel like they just do this to make more money off of gun owners?
No, I don't think it's that. I just think it's very short-sighted. I think that personally, I can only speak for myself. I am 100% always for common sense gun legislation. The problem is that you have people that are very far to the right and very far to the left. You'll never convince them to change anything of that. But nobody wants to come to the middle because no one was willing to.
Right.
So if you give an inch, they take a mile.
Yeah. On
So-
either side.
It's the same way both sides.
Yeah.
No one's ever happy with it.
Right.
And for me, having training requirements wouldn't be a bad thing in
Yeah.
certain situations. But it's going to be doled out evenly across the board. I don't know why we can't, as a country, come together with something that's common sense that doesn't restrict our Second Amendment right, but and also make that I'm a known good person. So we do it in the airlines. Guy in my plane, known crew member.
Yeah.
So all 50 states, he's been checked out. They know he's a good guy. check his ID, he's good. Same thing. If that pilot wanted to get a gun, he would go through a course. He would be able to carry 50 states.
Yeah.
So I've gone through the background check. I'll do any background check they want to do. Give me an ID that says I'm a good dude. That can be accepted by all 50 states.
I agree. There should be.
You know, and all it would take is the federal government to say, hey, listen.
Yeah.
And if they said, we can do it, but there's going to be a cost associated with it, people would be lining up.
Yeah.
They would be lining up to say, just to have that freedom. Because we all want the same freedom. We just want to be able to exercise our constitutional right.
Yeah.
It's only one of the constitutional rights that we have to fight so hard to.
Yeah. Every time you turn around, somebody's trying to attack it.
I mean, all your other rights, they don't stop at the state line.
Yeah.
There was recently a court case that a local court that hasn't made it up to the higher court yet, where a judge said, constitutional rights don't stop at the state. I mean, there's nowhere that it says that when you leave your state and go to another one that you lose that right.
Yeah. Like me and my wife we go traveling. I'll go out of my way, even if it costs me a few hours, to stay away from. Crap, I just had it on my head. Illinois, because Illinois is pretty bad too, as far as like a lot of their gun laws. And instead of looking them up or trying to figure out what I need to do, and because I know that for a fact they're a 2-stage, so you have to have your gun in one spot, and then your ammo has to be in
Separate.
another, your mag or whatnot. And so I just go around.
That's your federal safe harbor.
Yeah.
But the problem with the federal safe harbor is it's up for interpretation in certain states.
Yeah.
So if you break down and get a flat tire, violation of that safe harbor.
Yeah.
Safe travel. So, and it's funny, the places that restrict you the most are the places that you probably need to protect yourself.
Yeah.
You know, that's the first thing that comes up on the news every night when I turn it on is the amount of crime and chaos that's happened in Chicago.
Yeah. My grandparents lived there, and luckily they've moved out here the last like 2 years or so. But yeah, it's insane. And it's like you were saying, just like if it was just us four, all we're trying to do is just make sure that we go home at the end of the day, and we just want to just be safe. We're not out trying to rob somebody or harm somebody. We just want to make sure that we're making it home. But it's the criminals that don't care, but we're all punished by the criminals, and it makes it hard,
Yeah.
Especially for business owners.
Yeah.
They have it the worst.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, really. And like we came in, you see in our gun store, and you were saying that your gun store can't even look anything like ours. Everything has to be locked away. I mean, we have precautions here for, if some of our stuff is locked up, but some of it people can just walk up and just kind of check it out if they want.
Yep.
But
Yeah, I mean, we have, everything has to be locked up. We take extra precautions because it's just the way the state works. And
yeah,
I have great partners. My police department, they do everything
right,
they have rules too. They have to come and inspect us, which is easy for me.
right,
I have my, I have to invest a lot of money to make it easy. Electronic inventory systems and audits of my.
sure,
It's a highly regulated business to begin with, they're regulating it from a position that's short-sighted and maybe don't have enough advice from both sides.
yeah,
If they really wanted to change things, they could approach it with.
yeah,
Our state went on a around the find out what people wanted with gun laws,
okay,
and they came back, and a few days later they had like this huge bill already ready to go, and they tried to push it through. So they obviously weren't out listening. They had already written a bill.
right.
Had
They just wanted the people to assume.
yeah. So they wrote this bill. Some of the language in the bill, New York has already tried.
Right.
It's already been to court. The stuff that the Bruin decision said, no, you can't do this. but because they know that they want us to fight.
Yeah.
They want us to have to go there, signs, go to court, spend hard-earned money.
Yeah.
Um, it's also, we have a lot of people out there that say they represent the gun industry and they represent us as individuals. I can tell you that a couple of those organizations, the last couple of years, I've realized how much support I really get from them. And then there's a couple of organizations that have stepped up and realized that even though it's Massachusetts, they can do something.
Yeah.
The National Shooting Sports Foundation, they've stepped up. They're there. They're fighting with us. I think there should be other people that have a lot bigger membership numbers that solicit continuously for donations.
Yeah.
They just aren't engaged.
What do you think keeps these people from stepping up?
I think the state has beaten down these groups so badly. Take us to take the industry to court because taxpayer funded. They'll just keep going to court.
Yeah.
And until someone at a level like the Supreme Court actually sanctions one of these state officials, you're violating people's civil rights.
They're just going to bleed you dry, taking you back to court.
That's what it's going to take. It's going to take, listen, Jane Smith, you've been to court this many times. You've been told this isn't constitutional. This is what's going to happen next time you come back. And until that happens, they're enabled.
Right.
You shouldn't be afraid of, if you're being attacked in your home, of how you defend yourself.
Yeah.
For us, we know that if we have to use our firearms to protect our family in our home, that we're at minimum going to have a civil suit that we're
Really?
going to regardless of the situation. It always ends in at least a civil action. A lot of times there's talk of some type of action from
Get a little closer to your mic.
yeah, so it ends up in district attorney and having to get an attorney to defend you on a criminal matter and then also on a civil matter.
That's crazy. So if somebody was to break into your house and you had to use it on them, is it the state that's actually prosecuting you, or is it the family member that's going to?
It's going to be both.
It is.
Yeah,
Wow.
so you're going to initially, the police are going to get the details. They're going to give those details to the district attorney. In Massachusetts, they have a history of anything gun related, bringing it forward and saying, we may press charges.
Yeah. So this is unrelated to guns, but y'all are a sanctuary city, I do believe we're correct.
We are a sanctuary city, and we have, I think, the only one in the country that back in 1983, they passed a bill that said that we would house any
Yeah.
So now we have thousands of
Yeah.
migrants coming in.
And that's probably not helping with the whole crime and everything else in there, I would imagine.
It isn't. We're already dealing with serious crime issues and homelessness.
Yeah.
Veterans, like every city, veterans sleeping on the streets.
Yeah, and that's terrible. I
And-
mean,
And they can't come up with funds to build a shelter or to fix an existing shelter.
Yeah.
But yet we rent out every hotel, pretty much every hotel.
and that's
in
all
every
being
major
funded
city.
by the taxpayers.
Yeah,
it-
we're told that the federal government will reimburse it.
Yeah, we'll see
And
when that
that's-
happens.
That's hopes and dreams right there.
Right. Yeah. Why don't we get some veterans in there and then pay us back for that later too then?
Yeah, why don't we take care of the
Yeah.
people? I
Yeah.
get there's a humanitarian crisis, and I am 100% for helping people.
Yeah.
And helping them get out of countries that are atrocious. But I also want to protect the people.
Absolutely.
Somebody that did 3 or 4 tours in Afghanistan, they're in a tough spot now.
Yeah.
We pulled out of Afghanistan. There's people out there every day saying that, it was a waste. You got to be careful how you talk about it because I may not agree with how things went, but those guys they didn't waste their lives out there fighting for us.
Yeah.
And they come home and they're sleeping on the streets and they don't have a meal and they don't have and they're handing out gift cards to people that just came into the country illegally,
Yeah.
giving them transportation and giving
It's
them work visas. It's ridiculous.
it is it's and frustrating is what it is. It is extremely frustrating. Like, and if it doesn't, if other people don't feel that way about it, and if you're okay with just bringing in all these other like illegal immigrants, like I'm okay with somebody coming to America. I mean, well, let's just do it legally. You know, I mean, I feel like that's the way to do it, and that's going to help with crime and everything else too, because they're just booking these people in. They're already criminals from wherever they're coming from. They're fleeing that spot just to come here because we're just going to let them go, and then they're going to all these other cities, and unfortunately for y'all, it's one of the cities, you know, and it just makes the whole thing into just a bad ordeal. I mean,
It's a terrible ordeal, and it all comes down to numbers. You
yeah,
figure in any community, you have a certain many a criminal element, and in bigger communities, you have a criminal element that flocks to that area because they're looking for people to prey on.
yeah,
But even with the migrants, I mean, there has to be a percentage of those people that are bad people.
yeah,
They've hurt children, hurt their spouses, and you know they're coming here, but yet we have so many things already against us.
right,
We don't know who the people are. We don't know if they're wanted for murder in their country until they're already here and they've already been here. And then, there's so many. I look at the places people are coming from. They're coming from all over. Um, what happens when you get an agitated person with mental illness that you can't speak to?
yeah. Just keep getting more mad because they can't express themselves to you to ease whatever it is that's bothering them.
I mean, you put a couple hundred people in hotels in a town that has already limited resources that had to lay off firefighters.
Yeah,
There's a town that's 2 towns over from me where a friend of mine was a firefighter. They had to lay him off because they couldn't afford to have firefighters. But their hotels are now full of migrants. Services aren't there to support that.
yeah,
Especially when they also defund the police as well. Makes it very difficult for you guys.
Yeah, as Matt was saying, there was a fire. It was a fire in a hotel that didn't have city water, so it didn't have a lot of pressure. A lot of these hotels don't have the means, desire to upgrade the systems.
right.
So you could have a lodging that doesn't have the updated fire suppression. And you're just looking for problems.
Yeah, it's a ticking time bomb.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is what it sounds like.
It is going to be very, very challenging.
Yeah.
And it's going to be hard to hit the rewind button. Once you get to that point, you can't just, once we bring people in that come here illegally, we take responsibility.
Yeah,
So as a person, I know I'm not going to say send them back from where they came from because that's not me.
yeah,
So we're going to have to figure out how to take care of all these people on top of the people we already not taking.
yeah.
And the record's fentanyl. Fentanyl's coming in by the truckload.
Is it a big problem where y'all are at?
It's
Like the whole epidemic of
it's huge. They anything that you want, they're going to put fentanyl in it because it's counterfeit drugs.
yeah. So they're just finding people everywhere laying probably over OD'd.
Yeah, it comes in one city, in the western part of our state. They find hundreds of thousands of pills, traffic stops.
Really?
This used to be like, if you think back, I know when Matt and I were young, if they found a kilo of cocaine on a stop, it was a big deal.
Right.
There were like 7 agencies involved. Now that would be like not even.
Seriously.
Yeah. It's just sad because
Yeah.
it's those kids that don't know. They go to a party, they try something that one time,
Yep.
they're dead.
Yeah. I had a friend of mine. He graduated with him. He seemed like a good kid. Became an over the road trucker, and he got tired of doing over the road stuff. And he's like, all right, I'm just gonna move back. He's like, I'm just gonna do in town locally. It was his last over the road trucking time to go, and somebody gave him some cocaine, and it was laced with fentanyl. Killed him. Never came back home.
Yeah, it's crazy. And it's crazy how much it.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that prior to COVID, starting to get how much of a crisis we were in.
Oh, but I bet after COVID, it probably got worse because I bet you more people sat at home,
They
got
did,
addicted to stuff, and it probably just drove them crazy.
but you know what they did? Stop reporting. If you look at the news, you don't see anything about about the fentanyl crisis and people dying on the streets.
Oh, yeah. Around here, it's meth. That's what everybody's seems like their drug of choice is. Like they call it, keyword for it is 417 because that's our area code.
Okay.
So, uh, like we found some out here one day. Somebody dropped it out of their pocket right in front of our door.
That's insane.
Yeah, we called the sheriff's department and they came down and got it. But
It's
yeah,
Wow.
it's everywhere.
yeah,
And regardless of what it is, you don't even know that. That's the thing. It's the meth. When
we
they
picked
find
it up with gloves
when they
just to
find
be
it-
safe.
there's police officers that regularly have to be rushed to the hospital in Narcan because
Yeah,
it's just
it's so dangerous.
such a small amount, just a
Yeah.
grain of
I
product.
watched a deal the other day. There was I don't remember where it was. It was a daycare though,
I saw
that
that
where it was like two of the infants died. There was 3 or 4 that were hospitalized. Yeah,
They were
they were
selling fentanyl out of a daycare.
yeah, and they
Wow.
put the baggie underneath the where the kids were sleeping. The kids were sleeping on top of a mat that had fentanyl underneath it, and it absorbed into them and killed 2
Goodness.
of them, and 4 of them were hospital. And I mean, honestly, something like that. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm a
you don't have
nice
to say
guy.
you don't have
You
to
know what I'm
say it,
saying? Yeah.
but I mean,
People
you're
like
right.
that ought to be gone. If you're willing to put a child in danger like that, we don't. This world doesn't need you.
Listen, they should at minimum be incarcerated for life. They
Yeah.
shouldn't have it. That's
Well, I mean, why waste taxpayers' money on that? I mean,
we-
that's
yeah. I mean,
I don't
we
know.
live in a part of the country that
Yeah. I feel like no matter what, either if you're on the right or the left, um, we can all agree that harming a child should be the ultimate thing that we could communicate on.
you would think so. Yeah, I mean, those are the children are we have to protect.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's just it all comes down to just being
Yeah,
just act try to be a good person.
yeah,
If everybody just tried to be a good person, even if you missed it some days, I mean, some days,
yeah.
Matt got a little bit of work to do. Like, listen, you try,
Yeah,
Of
absolutely.
course.
and you do, you do a little bit of kindness. You tip that barista, go at the coffee shop, give her a $2 tip, and she's like, "Oh my God, here's your change," and you're like, "No, I gave you that." Oh my God, that shouldn't be the answer.
Yeah,
You know, just act of kindness they spread.
yeah.
Um,
Wow.
Very interesting, isn't it?
Yeah. Massachusetts. It's very rough for you guys,
if you're there, you're used to it.
of course.
I know I was telling you guys earlier. A lot of our history was born in Massachusetts,
Yeah,
and it's just it's been eroded to the point where out of the history, all of our history isn't. It's not fun to talk about,
no,
but we learn from history.
exactly. You can't erase it because if you erase it, then it's doomed to just replay.
Right. Exactly. And if and to know what your forefathers did to get to where you are, I think if people had a better grasp on people dying, where your houses, where you pull in the
Yeah.
driveway every day,
Yeah,
someone fought, gave their life so that you could have that.
absolutely.
I mean, that's just something I don't discount that. It's something that as an American, that if you really believe in the Constitution, then you should believe in everything that it took to get there
Yeah.
Of course.
and to maintain it.
Yeah,
Of course.
To maintain that Constitution and to continue fighting for it. I mean, if everybody fought as hard for all the Constitution, we'd be in a better place.
yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Guys, it's been very interesting. I really appreciate you guys coming on here and talking to us. we won't talk about your shop or nothing, but like your projects turned out phenomenal. We still got a couple more back there. We're gonna go pull the stencils off of and just wrap up class. But I really have enjoyed your guys' company.
Yeah, I
And
appreciate you.
if you ever come back to Branson, don't feel shy. Come on by the shop. We'll have you back in here, and maybe you'll bring us some good news and tell us maybe things are starting to change up there or
Or
something.
maybe we'll have a U-Haul in the parking lot.
moving in the shop.
But no, I'll tell you, you guys are phenomenal. This place has really been. I had no idea where Missouri was. Never mind Branson. I traveled. I know when I used to do stuff. I traveled a lot, but this place is pretty special.
Yeah.
I mean, the people down here, and
Yeah, most
they're
definitely.
nice.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, we're all going to have the drugs and the things that come up, but the people make it.
Yep.
That good old. So you guys offer phenomenal products. Your skill is nobody that can come to your level. So it just tells me that I need to go back and do some.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we'll definitely be back down to at least visit at some point and hang out, do some jobs together or something.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah.
Well, all right, guys.
Awesome.
Well, thanks
Appreciate
for
you
doing the
guys.
podcast again. I appreciate it. And we'll talk to you guys next time.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
All right.